Hi guys, so this is day 2 of Libertango, and today we're going to be going through measures 9 to 18. For a lot of you, this is going to be very similar to what we did yesterday, so it's really not going to be a hard week at all, and then tomorrow is your work day. So go ahead and check the description box, click the timestamp for your section, and we'll get started. Okay, first violins. So copy and paste everything I said about articulations and rhythm from measures 1 through 9. 9 through 18 is exactly the same. So just watch your bowings and really try to get the first eighth note of each measure with a legato bowing and then short for the other separate eighth notes that have dots on them. Right at measure 9 and through measure 10 and 11 and 12, all of the D's and A's you're going to want to use a fourth finger. Then in measure 11, it changes to E flat for 2 measures, so just make sure you catch that. And then 13, 14, 15, and 16 introduce a G sharp. I would just do this with a high 3, and then the D that comes after it, so for instance in measure 13, the last note of the measure, just go ahead and play that open. The only tricky thing I can see happening there is you have to go from D sharp, and then right after that in the next measure, the next couple of notes, you have a C natural on the G string, so it'll be a high 3 and then immediately to a low 3 right after. So just make sure that you're doing that. Other than that, that's absolutely everything that I have to point out for this section, so I'm just going to go ahead and play through it. Quarter note equals 130, and we'll be good to go for the day. 2, 3, 4. And then the second ending, which would be measure 17, would be 2, 3, 4. And that's it. All right, happy practicing, and I will see you next time for the next section. Okay, seconds. So you guessed it, this is exactly the same as yesterday, but the notes do change. So just copy and paste everything I said about dynamics and rhythm and everything else. I'll just point out a couple of notes that you might want to pay attention to. So we're starting in measure 9. You've got a C natural. Obviously, again, do this in first position. You can play that A open, no problem. In measure 11, use a fourth finger for the A and a low 1 for the D sharp. And again, I know I've said this a million times, but that D sharp does last through the end of the measure. So the very last note of measure 11, the quarter note D is still a D sharp. So you're going to use a low 1 again for that. And that exact same thing happens in measure 12, fourth finger for the A, low 1 for D sharp. Last note is D sharp again. In measure 13, you've got a low 2 for F natural. Don't forget we have no sharps or flats, so that's F natural. And those Ds you can play open, same thing in the next measure. Then in measure 15, which is right before the first ending, you've got another G sharp, so just play that with a high 3. And then the first and second endings again have more G sharps, and like before, that sharp will last for the entire measure. Okay, that's really all I wanted to point out, so I'm going to go ahead and set my metronome and play through this. 2, 3, 4. And then here's the second ending. And then after that second ending, you've got 2.5 beats to get from pizzicato to arco. Like I said yesterday, that's not a long time, so just be prepared for that and you'll be good to go. All right, happy practicing, and I will see you in the next video for the next section. Okay, cellos. So what we're doing today, 9 through 18, is really just an extension of what we did yesterday. Everything that I said applies, especially saving your bow on those ties. You have another one for 8 beats in measure 11 and 12. So just be mindful of saving your bow and make sure you're sustaining, because when you have the melody, and I'm telling you, you are the only people with the melody. Other people are doing just totally rhythmic stuff that's not as important. When you have such a prominent melody, it's really important that you're sustaining and you're shaping every single note, and nothing is dying just because you're reaching the end of the bow. Other than that, this entire section can be done in first position. We went over that first ending yesterday, so you already know what to do there. And then in measure 17, that second ending, this would technically, it says all, so that would mean if we were using it as a solo, then everybody else would come in, but since you're all playing it already, then you're already in. And if you look ahead one measure, measure 18, it's the exact same thing, so you'll shift up on 3 to E, but we'll cover that in the next video. Other than that, I think compared to yesterday, this is really a lot easier, no shifting, and just try to maintain a nice vibrato and a really nice beautiful tone and you'll be good to go. Okay, I'm going to set my metronome at quarter note equals 130 and play through. 2, 3, 4. And that's it. Okay. All right, happy practicing and I will see you in the next video for the next section. All right, basses. So 9 through 18, copy and paste pretty much everything I said yesterday. I'll just point out a couple of notes. In measure 11, you've got an F sharp, which is an accidental. Same thing in the next measure. And then in 13, it goes back to F natural. So I would play that measure in half position, just 1, 4, 2. Measure 14, it's still F natural. And then you go to E and B for the next couple of measures. So just make sure that you're counting accurately. You're playing off of the second violin's pizzicato, and if it doesn't line up right, it'll just kind of sound like a popcorny mess. So just make sure you're being really accurate and you'll be good to go. Okay, I'm going to set my metronome at quarter note equals 130 and play through. 2, 3, 4. And then measure 17 would be the same. Okay, that's it. All right, you're set. I will see you back here tomorrow for the next part.